The Couch, the only TV show with a hat, and tonight we are going to, as always, get into all of the issues that have, made headlines and made waves throughout this week. So we will stay, on this issue of the SNIT sale of 4 hotels. We are going to broaden that conversation up, look at it in terms of state capture, and that's a question, if this is about state capture or if it's not. But we'd also look at this whole, do I call it phenomenon of, state players or, public officials literally buying, state lands and owning state assets. So it's a broad one. We would also sort of dive in there or include this latest response from a woman that I admire, Madam Elizabeth Ohene, the letter that she has written, or the article she has written concerning all of this in her capacity, as chair, of the board of SNIT. For me, that's an interesting angle to add to all of this conversation. We would also be looking at all of the news that are coming in, that indeed Napo, MP for Swami, is it?
No, Menchia South.
Menchia South, thank you. Menchia South has been named, or is about to be named, as running mate for, current Vice President, His Excellency Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. So interesting conversations ahead. I'm excited. I hope you are. Stay with us right back. Welcome back from the break. This is the Couch. Let me quickly introduce my guest in the studio tonight. We have D. Kojo Yagson. Hi, Kojo.
Hello, Amma.
Looking very discussion-like tonight.
Whatever that means. Thank you. This is quite literally one of the very few things in the world for which I would leave my sick bed to be present for.
Thank you. Thank you.
Very happy to be here.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Right. Thank you so much. Lawyer, it's great to have you back.
Yeah, same here. Same here.
Today you are so... Why? What's happening?
Oh, I'm happy to be alive. Just a very worried Ghanaian, that's all.
Hopefully after the conversations, you offload some of your worry and you feel better.
I'm sure it will even get worse because I have to think and find ways to express the extent of the worry.
Right. Speaking of worry, and I have to do this. So, where I live, and Kojo, you would know, when you are making your way from transitions, the side road where they used to sell vegetables and that very lovely serene stretch of road driving up to my house, yesterday I realized that the whole place was like a market, chaotic at best, right? So I was curious as to what was happening, just to realize that they've set up a new DVLA office on that stretch, and I'm confused as to how these two things have anything to do with each other. So there's complete chaos on the road. You have, different types of bread sellers, right, scattered on the main road. The office itself, I don't know what's happening in there because I haven't been inside. The gate is locked, so I don't know. But I'm talking about the road in front of the office, which has nothing to do with the office. Bread sellers, egg sellers, second-hand clothing sellers, wache, then there's a whole session for, and I'm thinking, why are we so indisciplined? And I can bet my last coin that these people, because if the office was set up this week, who announced for them to come? It would have to be people in the office that are responsible for this. Why are we sitting there and allowing, this very nice, to turn into a, I can just imagine the traffic that's going to be happening there. Because there's a complete stop when you get there. And it's not about vehicles. It's about human and marketing activities. Why do we need a market in front of the DVLA office? What has one got to do with the other?
So this is what we do all the time. We let things get out of hand, and then we say, now if you go and clear them, then you are going to lose votes. This is what we do. We are a very indisciplined nation. As for market forces, the supply will always go where the demand is. And if there's a DVLA office, that means all the drivers have to come there. Every day there will be drivers there. Every day. There will be people who own vehicles coming there to renew their documentation and all that. There will be car owners coming there. There will be a multitude of people coming there. So a business-minded person thinks, then let me go and do my business there. But why? Why is it that so why is it that same person will not think, oh, let me go and do my business in a courtroom because people come there? Because this person knows that if he goes to a courtroom, he will be sacked. But he knows if he goes to the DVLA office, nobody will sack him. Human beings will do whatever we can get away with. I always cite this example of a friend of mine, and he will hate me. I won't mention his name, but he will hate me using him as an example over and over again. He's a professor in Cambridge. He's a Welsh man. Not much older than me, but he's a Cambridge professor. He comes to Ghana sometimes, and whenever he comes, he stays with us, especially when my father was alive. Whenever we go to town with this guy and he wants to pee, he takes delight in standing by a gutter and peeing. White guy, peeing into a gutter in the center of Cape Coast. He's not drunk. He's only doing it because
he can.
He can. He knows he can never do this in Cambridge. It's a Cambridge don. He knows he can never do this in Cambridge. But he can do it in Kotokraba. So why not? Human beings will always do whatever we can. Whatever we can get away with. That's what we will do. It's human nature. So they can get away with running a market outside DVLA. Nobody will sack them. That's why they are there.
Who do we report to? Where do we take
you
this
can only
to?
report to someone.
Where do we go? Where do we go with this? Do I go inside and launch a complaint? Like, what do I do? Do I go and ask for the boss and ask him if he's aware that this is happening?
Do they have local authority?
I'm sure.
Perhaps one of the worst local authorities in Ghana. There are always issues there. Always issues there.
Because we are just going to create a nuisance for nothing, right? We go to places, we finish, we go home and go and eat. I don't see what eggs and bread and wachi have got to do with renewing a line. Like, I don't see it.
Was, like Kujo rightly said, a lot of people are coming there. They want to buy some bread, they want to buy some eggs. Yeah, you understand? So, as in, how does everything happening there fit
or
into...
second-hand clothes, for that matter.
So don't we have planning, as in... So that's the problem. Is a problem. Because we also have some planning, and we need to stick to that planning. And once again, like you said, and people must understand that when you act in a certain way, there will be consequences. Because I think that's the problem we are facing. We know we'll get away with a lot of things, so we'll continue doing
Get up with your wares and show up somewhere and start doing business.
Yeah, that's
just like that.
Yeah.
Just like that. I woke up one morning, somebody had put was it Kuku or Kinky selling kiosk in front of my house.
I see.
Just like that. Anyway, let's come to state capture. let's come to state capture. That's been the bigger conversation, hasn't it? You know, with all of this issue around SNIT, and interestingly, all of the accusations that are now getting thrown at the person of someone who just saw a black one. You know, that it's his stock in trade. He likes to sort of accuse people and you know, sort of impugn into people's integrity and all of that, and he maintains that for him it's about a principle. If it's for the state, you can't buy it. It's not for you. Are we dealing with an issue of state capture? That's one. Then maybe once we are done with that, we'll come back and look at Madam Elizabeth Ohene's letter. Or do you think we should start with the letter?
You know, because it doesn't, they all fit into the same topic.
So let's start with state capture. Do you find that what we are talking about has anything to do with state capture? Sure.
Okay. You know, you talked about how Madam Elizabeth Ohene is a person you admire so much. I have to say, she's one of my personal heroes. I learned a lot about writing from reading Elizabeth Ohene. I don't think there is a writer alive who has better clarity of thought than Elizabeth Ohene. I mean, I don't know where she gets that command over language to use to explain an idea with such final understanding, you know, and it is a talent. So when you are reading her, you don't even realize the magic she's weaving. But by the end of it, a thought that you've never had, an angle you've never considered, suddenly becomes the clearest and most obvious. That is her skill as a writer. And I doubt I don't think there are any today better at it than her. Which is why this recent article of hers beggars belief. Now, I want you to bear in mind, I'm saying this as one of her biggest fans, somebody who has learnt from her, right? I don't recall ever reading an Elizabeth Ohene article and disagreeing with it. I don't recall it ever happening. So if I'm telling you today that I was alarmed to read what she said, then I want you to take me seriously. It was alarming. First of all, let's think about the subject matter she chose to write on. The sale of SNIT hotels. She's the board chair of SNIT. She's the board chair of an institution that is being criticized for carrying out a process that is seen to be wrong, in fact, unlawful. Now, the first thing is that how well advised was it for her to make this the subject of an article? Some might say, I mean, if you have a platform, use it, right? But speaking as somebody who has a platform, I am fully aware of how easily it can backfire when you decide to use your platform to talk about yourself, or to use your platform to push your agenda. You see, the people who come to you on your platform, they come there to hear what you have to say about everything that they care about. They don't come to hear what you have to say about yourself. People don't tune into the Super Morning Show to learn about my life, about what I had for breakfast, or what, you know, who I believe to be the most beautiful woman in the world. That's not why they tune in to my show. If that information passes through, so in fact, for some it might be a jarring reminder that but this guy, he should stick to what we care about, not what he cares about. So first of all, I'm just on the face of judgment whether it was a good idea for her to write about this on her column, I wonder. But then again, maybe you can understand the thought process, because that is her strength. She knows how to make an argument. So she thought, okay, let me do that. here. All right. Let's skip over that potentially bad decision and come to what she actually wrote. Oh dear. So, first of all, she spends a lot of time explaining that this deal, there is nothing illegal about it. And that if anybody can point out anything that is corrupt about this deal, she herself will put herself up for prosecution. This is how President Akufo-Addo is. Elizabeth Ohene is demonstrating a little bit of Akufo-Addoism here, where you set your own question and answer it. Okay? So what she is saying is that the selling of SNIT hotels and the process by which they did it, there's nothing corrupt about the process. So if anybody says there's something corrupt about the process, then she will happily put herself up for prosecution.
Can I read the pass for you?
Please go ahead.
She says, Mr. Okudzeto Ablakwa. Okay, let me start from the top. It says, I am able to say with the utmost certainty that the process that led to the selection of Rock City as the preferred bidder was clean, above board, and met every rule and regulation and can withstand every scrutiny. Mr. Okudzeto Ablakwa claims to have God and Ghana on the side of his campaign, and I would hope all of God's angels and Ghana's investigative agencies, temporal and spiritual, would examine the process and tell the world if they find any irregularity or trace of corrupt practice. Indeed, if they should find any evidence of corruption, I will assume and accept responsibility and expect to be prosecuted.
You see how nice her writing is?
Listen.
Okay. But Amma, she's setting her own question and answering it. Because much as you may want to defend the process by which what's his name? Rock City was chosen, you can never defend the result. The result is that Rock City was chosen. You can't defend it. Amma, imagine that Joy FM is doing a promotion. They want people to write essays, and the best essay will win $100,000. And my son Fifi, who by the way has won Commonwealth prizes for his essays. In many ways, Fifi is an even more creative writer than I am, and he's only 14. I don't think there's any essay competition that Fifi can't win. Fairly and squarely, he will write better than everyone. But if I have the bad sense to let Fifi enter that competition, should I not be criticized? Because the problem is not that he can win fair and square. Of course he can. He's capable. The problem is that I will now have to go and explain to everybody who will rightly raise questions. I will now have to go and explain to everybody that Fifi won fairly. Why do I want to do that? Why do I want to not only dirty the reputation of my son, of myself, but of my employer? Now, if my employer, in choosing the winners, sees that one of the entries came from the son of their morning show host, and they allow it to go, are they not irresponsible? Are they not opening themselves up to criticism? Are they not putting themselves in an indefensible position? Because you can't defend it. You can't explain to the person who came second that you came second because this guy was better than you. No. You see? So the problem is not just the process. You can defend the process as much as you want. Oh, you published in the Daily Graphic and you did this and then you did that. The minute a minister, a company owned by a minister, put themselves up to bid to buy state property, you should have put on the brakes. you should have immediately said, we cannot involve ourselves in this. Unless you genuinely believe that the only hotel in the world that can take hotels off the hands of SNIT is Rock City. Unless you believe that of all the hotels on the planet, of all the businesses on the planet, of all the financiers on the planet, the only one who is capable of investing money in SNIT hotels or buying shares in SNIT hotels is Rock City. And so if you don't choose or you don't allow Rock City to participate in the bidding, your hotels will never get sold. Unless that's what you believe. If that's what you want to tell us, write another article and come and tell us that. But otherwise, don't come and defend the process when the fruit of the process is poisoned. I mean, how do you feel? A state minister is buying state property. That sentence. How do you feel saying it? This is not something to come and write beautiful articles about. And for where you sit, and for the things you have championed in the past, the arguments you have made in the past, the articles you have written in the past, the points that you have clarified with your wonderful language in the past, for you to be the one now telling us to swallow a state minister buying state property. You want us to say this is okay? I don't know what happened to you. Charlie, it's not nice to watch your heroes, bleed.
I think we are starting with Madam Elizabeth Ohene. Lawyer, you coming?
Well, so let me wish your viewers a good evening. Wish yourself a good evening. Wish my brother Kojo a good evening. I think he set a fantastic tone. I think for people to understand the extent of damage Elizabeth Ohene is doing to herself and doing to leadership in this country, permit me to at least make people understand state capture, because for me it is linked. Yeah, I understand. And the fact that we are discussing state capture and the fact that we are discussing one of the finest talents in this country, and the article she's written attempting to defend this unfortunate incident tells you about the extent to which political corruption has you are the Englishman. Political corruption has yes, normalized, but it doesn't bring out exactly what institutionalized. You has been normalized, has been institutionalized, because merely we are discussing and people are defending and we are debating an act which essentially is private interest influencing political decision making in a manner that would be advantageous to them. Because it's said that state capture. Yeah, understand?
Please say that again.
That merely
private interest
influences political decisions or leadership decisions in a manner that seeks to grant advantage to the private individuals. Then a state capture. Yeah, understand? Immediately we find that normal, to the extent that, like I'm saying, one of the finest and respected persons in our country has no qualms or sees no wrong in attempting to defend this despicable phenomenon, then is a problem. Yes, and is a problem, and essentially, for me, what this article does is to dim for some of us, the little bit of hope we had in the ability of the country to find a way of repenting from this depraved political situation. It's really depraved because immediately your politicians or people who potentially can hold public office find no wrong with they, because essentially when you're a leader, it's about taking decisions. And if we find nothing wrong with people putting at the fore their private interest or using the authority, the influence, the power they have to influence public decisions in a manner that will be to their personal advantage, then we are finished. Yeah, then we are finished. Yeah. So for me, what is at stake in all this is actions whose impact would be to wipe away the trust the public has in this system of governance we have chosen upon ourselves. And for me, it becomes very worrying because of the purpose of this system of government, which is a constitutional democracy, because we all accept that is the best system that can best protect our liberties. It's the best system that can best protect our lives. It's the best system that can guarantee our right to pursue our own happiness. So when in the manner in which we give our powers to, in how they are using those powers, in how they are making decisions, they make us to understand that their reasoning for taking certain decisions is not because of our collective interest, but it's because of what they stand to gain privately in those decision makings. And people like, or somebody like who we all look up to, can have the audacity to attempt to defend this. In
her defense, though, she states that she didn't want to, speak to this issue, that she had actually not turned in any articles, in the whole, this whole time, until she's eager to write about something else. She says a book, one of her favorite people has written a book. She's eager to write about that, but she feels it would seem as though she's running away or that there's some guilt, and so she wants to sort of write this, clear the way, then come back and write about something that she's really passionate about. So, I mean, it's almost as if she's been compelled.
She's been compelled to defend this act of political corruption. Also, to be fair, I was at the demonstration. There were placards that actually had her name. People came with placards with her name on it that they are waiting to hear from her. Exactly, because how can you, Elizabeth Ohene, be the chairperson or chairman of SNIT board? How can you be the chairperson of SNIT board and sit and watch for this to happen, and you won't resign? Because what I would have expected from them is that all the board members, you all resign. Because what's it called? Kwekwadu has decided that he's not going to sack them. Kwekwado's view is that the minister should meet with TUC. But that's not the issue. This is an issue about the TUC. This is an issue of the extent of the deprivation of political authority in this country and the dangers that it holds for all of us in terms of its ability to erode the confidence of the people of Ghana. Well, it's a republic. You understand? In this system of governance we've chosen upon ourselves. That's the issue. And so if Kwekwado, we know Kwekwado, I was saying that I'll say it openly. He's like a poisonous chalice. If you go and kiss it, you'll be corrupted. You understand? If Kwekwado has no qualms, he doesn't say anything, unless he's the master brain behind all this.
Okay, so let me read this portion to you. Hold on, lawyer. She says here, Mr. Okucheto Ablakwa appears to know something I don't. The Board of Trustees certainly did not go to get permission or even inform the President of the Republic or any minister about the decision to seek a strategic investor to take a stake in the hotels. The board did not need such permission, was not obliged to inform the government, and did not do so. I have seen no evidence in the records of past boards, going to the government for the president to get permission to make an investment decision. The board did not involve the president, nor the minister, nor the government in the process. The act that governs SNIT makes no such provision, and I had thought it was in everyone's interest that the pension fund is kept away from government interference.
No, but that's not the issue. In fact, that is not the issue. You understand? And I was going to say what she's trying to do is akin to intellectual, but maybe
on my paper I wrote impractical.
It's not about it's not about being impractical. See, the point
simply because it's human beings that make up boards.
No, but is she not aware? I'll even go to the board issue. It's like they're running away from the main issue. I think Kojo did a fantastic job when he brought up his son's issue.
Right.
Because really that's the issue. So the issue is not about any investment decision. The issue is not about whether or not Brian is the richest man in the world. The issue is not about whether he can indeed make that investment. The issue is if you are in public position. If you are in public position, then no matter how rich you are, no matter how powerful you are, you should not be seen. You should not be seen to be buying public property. That's all. That's the issue, and it should stay there. It's not about you going to the president to seek what permission or not. The issue is, so you as a SNIT board chair, you found no issue with a public official, in fact a cabinet minister, purchasing or attempting to purchase public property. So even this, what you are reading even makes the matter worse. But what you are doing makes the matter worse. Yeah. So I've not been interested throughout this. I know people as informed me that massive waste of my time. When the investment and you had this amount of money and went through. The issue is one, and it's simple. We need to understand that if you're a public official, you have no business attempting to purchase public property. It's as simple as that.
Simplicity.
It's as simple as that. For me, the worry is what it can potentially do to this our democracy. Because immediately the people of Ghana lose confidence in the ability of our public officers, people we vote for. For last Saturday on Alaji, Uncle Kwesi put it perfectly. That people we vote for should not be seen to be putting our property in their back pockets and going. Because maybe that is done. Then one of the key anchors or pillars that holds this constitutional democracy together, which is the people's fidelity, faithfulness to the system, will be eroded. And once that is eroded, then the purpose for which we felt that we need to have this system of governance will be undermined, which is to protect our liberties, to protect our lives, to guarantee and secure our rights to pursue our individual happiness. Why would you want to sacrifice that on the altar of somebody's whim?
That's it.
You see, by stating quite the presumed independence of the SNIT board in this process, and stating that, well, I mean, they don't need to go and check with the president.
No, they didn't.
Yes. By stating that, what Elizabeth Ohene has done without realizing is she's put the focus back on her. The blame goes back to her. She messed up. Because you see, as for us, we are not idiots. We know that the board, the members of the board, were almost like half of them were appointed by the president. As for us, we know that. We know that she herself was appointed by the president. 4 or 5 or 6 others on the board were appointed by the president. We know that the CEO, or whatever the job title is, director general or executive, whatever, the boss, is the son of what's the man's name? Senior minister. Pardon? No, the senior minister, Osafo Mafo. Thank you, Osafo Mafo. I don't know why I'm drawing a blank. We know and understand the connections between the individuals running SNIT and the executive. We know and understand. We're not idiots. And so we know that in reality, no matter how independently it has been set up, we understand that the president does indeed have influence over SNIT, whether he exercises it or not. He doesn't even have to exercise it. The influence exists. So if SNIT has a decision to make, and it is understood that one of the options they can choose will please their boss, are they not influenced to choose that option? Even if the boss has not opened his mouth, has never said, maybe it might not even please him, but as long as they believe that it will, are they not influenced to make that choice? So would it not be better? Would it not be good corporate governance, something that I thought Elizabeth Ohene represents? Would it not be good corporate governance for them to look at this option and say, no, there is no way we'll be able to justify to the world that we were not influenced to choose this one, so please, we must disqualify this one. After all, even without him, there are still many others who would qualify to do what we are trying to do. Is that not good corporate governance? Look, I keep challenging this idea that conflict of interest can be cured. You know, sometimes we even have laws that suggest that you can cure conflict of interest. So, oh, you are in a conflict position, but if you inform these people, then you are no longer in a conflict position. That's Disneyland. That's imagination. Informing doesn't remove you from the position of conflict. You are on a board, and your company is bidding for business. Then you inform the board, oh, this is my company. Does that cure the conflict? No. So I have always argued that this idea that we are trying to use laws to cure conflict of interest is ridiculous. And in other parts of the world, it doesn't exist. It doesn't exist. Boris Johnson went to have tea in a hotel owned by his friend. The tea was paid for by the state. He had a scandal on his hands because of it.
Conflict of interest.
You understand me? So let's stop pretending that the rules for us are different. Let's stop that. Because if someone else did it, that whose party we didn't belong to, we would immediately see what's wrong with it.
Right. But you see, immediately, and I love the fact that we are elevating the conversation to this issue of state capture, which is where, for me, the conversation should stay. You know, this graphic imagery you gave of people you elect walking away with states in their pockets, it's everything. Because then why should I go queue and vote if all I'm doing is selecting who should come and buy what's next? In essence, that's what it is, isn't it? What it means is that I elect people to give them access to state property. Bottom line, that's what it is. And who wants to be involved in that process?
So that's the danger. And you see, it's not just about rent. This has been going on for a very long time. So right now they are having the courage to even take it to a different level.
Right.
It's been happening for a very long time. The lands at cantonments, they come in the shade. I'm not like Killy Willy. You understand? All day. And I'm like, what is happening? As if for crying out loud. Yes, what is happening? Because right now, like I'm saying, and I keep on saying, for me, because of what is at stake, and like you already said, why should I go and queue, waste my time, if I'm just going to put you there to be... In fact, because of that's why Ghanaians don't even... You know, Ghanaians, I think Ghanaians think that when they vote for you, they're actually doing you a favor.
Yes.
But in mind, and that's why we don't really analyze the persons of the people we are going to vote for. Because in their mind, they don't expect... The expectations are so low.
Yes.
Yeah, but it's because of consistently... Nana Kunedu, when her husband was president, we had the issues about the Insawam, when we state, we didn't do much about it. MVP chairman, what was his name? May he so rest in peace. Obejebi Lamdi attempted to buy public, what's it called, bungalows. You understand? It's been going on and on and on. So right now, for some people, so why? People have done it. So why are you complaining if I am actually paying for...
Your audience are going to come after me. But let's not forget the example of a former president who wanted to buy the property he was living in. Wanted to keep it.
Yeah.
That's the level it's got to.
No, but that's a fact. Why should you, a president of the country, attempt to even buy? You understand? And that's why they deliberately, the politicians, the conversation quickly will shift from the simple issue being, if you are a public officer, don't attempt to buy, to all these useless conversation about investment. He has his money. In fact, an MP, what's his name? Last week, an NDC MP was actually defending Brian.
Yes.
About that, if they are selling something at the market, is it 1D or something? If they are selling something on the market and I have the money to buy it, what have I done? But that is not the issue. That is not the issue.
There's a fundamental principle.
And you know what is most disappointing?
Right.
You know what's most disappointing? Now, the kind of burden, obligation that's placed on the president, and for me, the bottom line is the president. I keep on saying this. I'm not too interested in the ministers. I didn't vote for any minister. I voted for the president, and the ministers are actually using the president's power. So if your minister is using a power in a manner that is adverse to the reason why we gave you the power, it is your obligation as president, especially when you vowed to protect the constitution of this country, when you vow to dedicate yourself to the well-being of the people of this country, and to be fair to all manner of people, when you vow to be faithful and loyal to Ghana, you've taken that oath. We've given you power and you've taken that oath. And your ministers you appointed the ministers. You understand the way it's obviously parliament. And then they are using the powers adverse to the purpose for which we gave you the powers. Indeed, they are using the powers in a manner that undermines the constitution you yourself said you were going to defend, and you are sitting there aloof. You are not, in fact, beyond you not sacking them, you are actually defending them.
Right.
You understand? Right. So then what are you doing to, at least this is nothing we have? Well, people don't have money. A huge majority of Ghanaians don't have money, but at least they have a peace of mind. They know they can, even if it's Gary, they'll eat. At least. So when you undermine the system, to extend that at the end of the day, even just their security is going to be undermined. Because you see that people, because also the step culture includes when you put party people into the police. Yes. Because then what is influencing that decision is your personal interest, or the interest of your corporation, the party. Or the party is not the country. The party, MPP is in Ghana. Yeah. So when those personal matters, interests are influencing decisions that affect every single Ghanaian, I don't know why Nanado should in my honest speaking, he should be impeached or he should resign. Seriously, because see, I'm really vexed. This matter vexed me really because you see the second part of the oath where he said he's going to submit himself to the laws of you see that they sell state properties like and what so when Nanado and his people, when the former president he attempted to do similar things. When he attempted to give concession, sign of concession to his brother, who for all intents and purposes has the capacity to undertake, we cried out loud. We criticized him. So what has changed?
Don't say we criticize him. The
president criticized him. So what has changed, Nanado?
But you see, and here for me will be the most important thing about what to do. What next? Honorable Okujacha Ablakwa says he's, going to sponsor a private member's bill to make sure that we sort of cement this and this doesn't happen again and all of that. Interesting for me, but I think that there has to be a way beyond the law, because we know what we do with our laws in this country. I can just imagine another amendment that will give a cure, to the process where somebody can now acquire it if he does A, B, or C, or D, or G. How do we ensure that we understand that state property is off limits to individuals? It's off limits, and especially and more importantly, particularly state players, public officials.
I'm going to say this for the first time in public. It's been my private dream and hope, because I know that the outcome of the next election will not change Ghana. There's nobody on the ballot that I think is coming to transform the nation. So I'm not expecting anything from the presidential election. But my prayer for this nation, the only hope that I think we have, is if we end up with skirt and blouse. If we end up with a party running parliament different from the party in executive power. Because that's when you can be impeached for fooling. That's the only time it can happen. You come and do even the smallest nonsense. And I know they will do it for political reasons, but they will do it. They will do it. So at the very least, it will put you. I
was just about to go on this dream with you. I was just about to go on the dream with you. However, I'm looking at what we've done with a split parliament.
You see, I agree with you.
And because of that, I'm not sure if
I agree with you that we didn't do well with the split parliament. We didn't do well with the split parliament because in fact, the reason why we didn't do well with the split parliament is because it still gave the minority an excuse to continue to work in their personal interests rather than in the interests of the nation. Because at any given time, they can tell you, oh, we couldn't do anything about it because the numbers are what's it called? The numbers are even, and they have control. The party in executive power has control. So no matter what we do, they can decide not to even put the matter forward if they don't have the majority. They still use that excuse today to explain every incident, every occasion on which they have voted in favor of the ruling party. This is the excuse they use, that we don't actually have power because we are split. But if you have the majority and you run parliament, you can't come and give us that excuse anymore.
Right.
You can't come and tell us that, oh, the numbers are close, that's why we couldn't. You are running parliament. The speaker will be from your party. The majority will be, the majority leader, who is the leader of government business, will be from your party. So what excuse will you have for not checking the executive?
Right.
So me, that's my prayer. That's the only way we can let these people's political and self-interest work in our interest as a nation. That's my prayer. As for president, it doesn't matter who wins. Doesn't matter. The result is the same, or the value is the same. None of them is coming to change this country. But if we get skirt and blouse, I have hope.
You have hope. Welcome, Kwame. Welcome, Kwame. So Kwame Wilson has just joined us. I see that you have something to say. I want us to take a quick commercial break. Kojo, okay, let's go. You have hope. I have hope too.
I have hope that if Ghanaians look beyond His Excellency Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, if they move beyond the reason for they voting for somebody, it's only because that person has validation because of a certain political party the person is coming from. Because I spoke to a lot of MPP people who clearly tell me that they know Dr. Bawumia can't do their job. So to justify their conscience, they say they'll vote for the party. But I have hope. I have hope because of this document and because of the person of Alan John Kojo Chairmanton. I have hope that on the strength of what he's done in his life, his career, both as a private person and when he's had the chance even to be minister, and also on the back of this comprehensive document, because this isn't like a regular manifesto. This one actually gives us direct policy prescriptions, which tells you how he's going to do the kind of things he says he's going to do. And because of that, I have hope. And I have hope, and I pray that the people of Ghana, because I always say it, that we are in all this problem we are in because of the people of Ghana. We shouldn't take ourselves out of it. Or we joke with how we vote. We think it's a football match. But we need to think deeply and reflect on what the Constitution tells us. That when the citizens of Ghana, when we are going to make a decision, we should be guided by the values and principles enunciated in chapter 6. The economic values, the political values, the social values. Because at the end of the day, it is nobody will build Ghana for us. It is our duty as Ghanaians to build this country. And that duty starts with how we choose our leaders. And so yes, I have hope. And I must also add that I agree to the extent that Kojo wants skirt and blouse. I agree with that also. And I'll add that we should also take a critical look at our constitution. Because this mixture and people who are not dedicated to oversight, because they want to catch the eye of the president. And so their main job, which is an oversight, because that's the main job of parliament.
Right.
They are not doing it, because always it's not just the job of the minority to be granting that oversight, and so that's what happens. So when they are minority, they do their job. When they get power, so these same NDC people, in the unlikely event that GM wins, see the same NDC people, their mouths will change. No, we can't continue this unprincipled way in which we do politics, and that's why I have hope that if we vote for Honorable Lanchemantin, some sort of credibility will be brought to.
This is a conversation I wanted us to have.
Yeah.
I wanted us to finish with state capture and come to this, because this happened this week too.
Yeah.
So this is something that I wanted us all to, sort of analyze, as we do here, look at perhaps the impact, if there's been any, and things like that. But I want to take a quick commercial break, Kwame, so that you can have a bite, a short one, because you were late, short bite at this issue of state capture. Then we'd have, a conversation around this one before we come to Dr. Baumia's choice of NAFU for running mates. Could you have a look at it? Stay with us, we'll be right back.
Are you searching for the perfect venue to host your next event? Look no further than Meres Event Plus. Discover the epitome of sophistication with our Skybox Event Center. This indoor marvel offers spacious hall area accommodating up to 500 esteemed guests. This beautifully designed space can be tailored to suit various event types, from weddings and corporate gatherings to cultural celebrations and more. We give you a kitchen space where your culinary creativity takes center stage, from gourmet feast to delectable treats. Our kitchen is the heart of flavor and delight. Our luxurious washrooms ensure comfort and convenience for all attendees, as well as maintaining the elegance of a special day. Our breathtaking waiting area is designed to make a lasting impression, while our top-of-the-range changing rooms are befitting of the VIPs of your event. Experience nature's charm at Tichiwa's grounds. Host an unforgettable outdoor event at the spacious and beautiful Tichiwa grounds, featuring a large lawn or terrace area capable of accommodating up to 700 cherished guests. Our changing rooms also provide privacy and ease for your special guests. Call us now on 030-341-6266 or 053-029-6067. Meres Event Plus, where celebrations come to life.
welcome back from the break. This is still The Couch. My name is Pratt, still on the issue of state capture. Kwame, state capture, Madam Elizabeth Ohene's, letter, put it all together in a few minutes.
Okay, so I didn't get the benefit of the intellectual analysis by Kojo and my senior, and so, by reason of the fact that I'm late, I'll just be brief. So what is it? I mean, when people use their political influences to steal from the state and to amass wealth for themselves, one can describe such a situation as state capture. And so, there are varied examples of state capture in Ghana that we've experienced over the period. I think that during President Kufuor's time, there were a myriad of examples that people stated, or indicated as being state capture. You recall that we had this issue with the oil licensing during Kufuor's time. We had this issue of the Kufuor Hotel and things like that. So essentially, when people use their political power or influence to take state properties, and also when they create a platform where it is practically easier, for them to milk from the state, then undoubtedly you can describe that to be state capture. Now, in Akufo-Addo's administration, we've seen several of them. The recent one that all of us are aware of is the SNIT matter. And that has become a subject matter of controversy because people are saying that if you are a political figure and by reason of that political affiliations that you have, you tend to use that to get a stake in a state institution, you are essentially involved in state capture. So it's not a question of whether or not the company that is owned by Brian Champon has, the technical or the financial muscle to run SNIT. It's about his direct involvement in the exercise. And therefore, one can safely assume and conclude that by reason of his position as a minister of state and a cabinet member, he would not have even gotten close to the deal if he knew that his influence would not, enable him get, access to SNIT and to be able to secure the deal for his hotel, the Rock City. I'm happy that in all of this we've had political, actors and players, particularly within the NDC, and some well-meaning Ghanaians come out to demonstrate their displeasures about what is happening. I'm happy that day in and day out, people are beginning to question why people who are politically exposed would want to involve themselves in some of these deals. I'll cite you an example, and this is a mere allegation. I think the last time I sat on this platform and I made mention of it, that if you want to give a classical example of state capture, you would want to also look at the Boston Institute, where, some allegations have been made against some persons that they've been involved, in the illegal sale of the Boston Institute. I think prison service filed a case against the persons who were directly involved in that exercise, and to refrain from that. So there are myriad of examples that we can give, but what I think should happen is that just maybe, we must pass a law that will specifically deal with that. That will prevent people who are politically exposed and who belong to political parties to distance themselves from having anything to do with state institutions or enterprises that belong to the state.
The Honorable Ojeda Blakwa says he's sponsoring a bill to that effect.
I would be very happy to see to experience that phase in our political dispensation.
Right.
I mean, look, finally, you would recall, during President Kufuor's time, J.B. Dankwa and all the other people, remember AU Village and all of that, in the final analysis, it was sold to government officials, and the only reason why they were able to purchase that, or the only reason why they even got a wind of it, is because there's that nexus between the institution and their political affiliations. And so going forward, I think that we must be very strict as a nation, and we must begin to pass laws that would directly address some of these teething challenges that we are confronted with.
Right. That proximity to power. Proximity to power, giving you access. Now, let's talk about Mr. Alan Chomante for a wee bit, also because of time. He had his moment this week. Oh, it was one issue, Kwame.
No, I just wanted to touch on it.
2 seconds.
Yes,
2
2 seconds. Yeah,
2 seconds, go on.
So she is in a position where she's supposed to have information. She's in a position where she understands the finances of SNIT. She's in a position where she's supposed to have the best interest of pensioners at heart. She's supposed to steer the affairs of SNIT for the purposes of benefiting those who are supposed to derive some benefits from it. Now, the question then becomes, why is it that you, as a board chair, have sat down together with your people to run it aground, and then you are looking for strategic investors to come and invest in this? Are you happy saying that Rock City presented, a better financial outlook, for which reason you thought that you should give the deal to Rock City? Are you not embarrassed that as a board you have not been able to manage it well to the point where it will be profitable, the hotels will be profitable? So I think that she should not be having conversations about the fact that it was transparent, the deal was transparent, it was whatever.
The process
was transparent. No, it's not about that for me. For me, you have run it aground. Now the question then becomes, does it sit well with you that somebody who is an active player in this government is seeking to buy a state asset, and then again refuses to address the issue of conflict of interest, which is actually at the heart of the narrative that Ukudjeto Ablakwa and his peers are pushing? So I'm quite disappointed that she would write something like that. I think that she has failed, and she should come again.
Not to defend her, but in the letter she states clearly that it is not this board, that has failed. It's boards before her that have failed, and that she is even of the opinion that no inherited problem would be sort of passed down. That she's insisting on solving issues that she came to meet that would happen in her time, so let's deal with issues as and when they come. Let's not push it down, because she says, and at the risk of sounding like she's passing blame, she seems to be suggesting that people before me have not handled things properly.
She's actually doing that. I mean, this is just trying to be smart. You're trying to outsmart all of us. But in the final analysis, that's what she's done. But the question then becomes, why do we have boards? What is the core function, or what is the mandate of boards? Essentially is to ensure that there is that smooth running of the business to generate enough revenue to sustain the business. And if you have been unable to do that by reason of previous board's inability to run the facility, then you have no business there, because that is why you were brought in, to ensure that the business becomes profitable. So if you have not been able to do that, and in your explanation or in your attempt to justify the illogical sale of the hotels to Brian Champon, you are saying that the process was transparent and things like that. I don't think that you should even waste your time explaining anything to the Ghanaian people. Right.
So all of us agree that that's not the conversation. We missed this conversation. Okay. So let's come to Alan Chomante. First of all, and I'll ask you, lawyer. First of all, do you think that it had the needed impact? Because in this political time, this season, this is our political season. In fact, something that Elizabeth Ohene alludes to, to say that is the reason why this issue is becoming topical, because we are so close to an election. Do you think that, we sort of achieved what we wanted to achieve, with this one? Was it a launch?
So it was a launch of the GTP.
Right.
A launch of the GTP, which clearly is to tell Ghanaians
so like a manifesto launch, kind of.
It's different from what is a manifesto? They come and give promises. So when I come, I'll reduce inflation. when I come, I'll cut down the number of ministers to 60. It's just promises. They don't tell us the how. So I wouldn't say this is like a manifesto, but this is essentially a document that is telling Ghanaians how Alan intends to solve the problems we all know in this country. And his focus is to create that one Ghana, that's one Ghana, united Ghana, where we can then form an enterprise economy. You understand? And then the focus here is for the economy to, first of all, bring about stability, to bring growth, to build a resilient, and you can only build a resilient economy if you're able to sustain the growth. And then when we've done that, then we have the best chance of then having a prosperous country. And for me, as to whether it's had an impact or not, I think it's had an impact as well, because it's what almost every media outlet is speaking about. But also, most importantly for me, and it's very critical, he's documented it. And unlike the manifesto, we see the launch. This one, they're actually distributing the books. They are there. I'll get you one, by the way. Also get you. So it's there. So right now, so we know, posterity will know. If Ghanaians, for whatever reason, decide to go the way they are going, one day, the young children, our grandchildren say, so this generation of Ghanaians, they had somebody with this comprehensive program and they rejected it. You understand? Because it's so comprehensive, and it, for me, also tells me about the clarity in thought of Mr. Alan Kyerema as to how he intends to transform the country. The how, because what he's done is to have, say, 6 clusters. That really talks about everything. So you have the economic cluster, you have the governance cluster, you have the social cluster, you have the infrastructure cluster, you have the attitudinal change cluster, you have the natural resource cluster. Now within each cluster, then you have pillars that anchors the cluster. So for example, when you take the economic cluster, for instance, it's anchored on 4 pillars: the macroeconomy, industrial transformation, agric revolution, and tourism. Then underneath each cluster, you have what he calls thematic areas. So when you have macroeconomy, you have what's called inflation. You have granting support to SMEs. You understand about 11 thematic areas, and underneath each thematic area, he then gives you the policy solution. That is not your regular manifesto. So for instance, we know that job creation is one of the biggest problems we are faced with. We've been to the IMF for 17 times. Each time we go to the IMF, they ask that we put a freeze on public sector employment. Why? The only reason why public sector will keep on employing people, even though they do not have the capacity to, is because the private sector has failed or is failing to create the jobs.
Right.
Yeah. So no, I just want to end with that. I'm just giving the example. Right. Now, you see, building the private sector to create jobs does not happen per chance. You, the government, you must deliberately use the powers you have, which is power of policy, power of fiscal policy, power of monetary policy, to boost that growth. We all know that in all the countries where there are so many jobs, because they have strong SMEs. So as one of his policy prescription at the microeconomic level is to say that he's going to, so there'll be a policy that says that banks should dedicate at least 10% of their profit after tax to grant facilities to SMEs. Now he's also saying that he, the government, then is going to use what we call a loan guarantee scheme to guarantee such loans for the bank. So at least then these are risk-free facilities that will be given to the to the SMEs. Right. And this is something that is being done in almost all the developed countries.
Right.
So to give my brother a chance, what I'm saying, it's not like your regular manifesto. He's gone beyond just giving promises. Like he says, Dr. Bawumia was saying, we can just toe the rules. to the rules. You understand?
So actually telling us the how. And for me, that is always the missing and most important.
So I'll get your copy.
Thank you.
So you have time to go through, and then we can
we can actually have a conversation around this,
yeah.
you know, specifically. Kojo.
Oh, okay. So I've been flipping through this, and you know, I mentioned at the beginning of the show that I actually left my sick bed. So I've been a bit out of the news, you know, cycle for a while. So I actually missed the launch of this. I haven't had the chance to read it. I'm seeing the document for the first time today. I've got to say, it looks lovely. I mean, very well put together. The order of it is very clear. I see what you mean about the clarity of thought. Okay, so he's broken it down into a number of clusters, if you will. So there's the economic cluster, the governance cluster, the infrastructure cluster, social services cluster, environment, science and technology, and natural resources cluster, and then the behavioral and mindset change cluster. Very important.
Number one for me.
So I mean, looking at it, you can see that someone has sat, taken their time, and worked through all the areas that require attention and put together a document about how he intends to pay attention to these areas. I must confess once more, I have not read the full document. What I've done is I've kind of glanced through. So I rushed to certain areas to see what he said there, okay? And all I was looking for, and by the way, I have to say, just on the face of it, looking at the topics that he's chosen to touch on, and on the few ones that I've gone to look at the detail, how he has expressed the detail. If this was an assignment, Alan Chemantin will score 100%. He will score 100% because he has basically done everything that the professor expects. So I then went through to see if I can find revolutionary thought. If I can find something new, something the professor is not expecting, something that will change this country. That's where I think maybe I perhaps need to search more.
Okay.
Because, I mean, I went to a few key areas. I started straight with the behavioral change. I thought very important. So I went there and I wanted to know what he intended to do about respect for law and order. Let me read a few examples. He's going to provide extensive support, including but not limited to financial, logistics, and technical resources to all institutions mandated to maintain law and order in Ghana. So he's going to fund them better. He's going to eliminate government interference in the management and operations of institutions charged with the responsibility of law and order. Okay? He's going to enforce compliance with provisions in existing legislation and regulations designed to preserve public peace and order. I want you to stop me when you hear something you haven't heard before. Right? When you hear a revolutionary thought, stop me. I went to corruption. He's going to demonstrate a leadership of personal integrity and political will to fight corruption and take decisive action against politically exposed persons involved in
so here's what if our answers have been staring us in the face this whole time?
That is actually part of the point I'm trying to make. What he has done is he has clearly identified our problems and our solutions. Unfortunately for him, our difficulty as a nation has not been the inability to identify our problems and solutions. That has not been the issue. The one thing that's missing is the one thing that Alan Chemantin can only demonstrate if he wins the election, and that is good leadership. You see what I'm saying? Until he actually becomes president, we will never know. Because as for this, we all know it. We all know that these are our problems and these are our solutions. We've seen them in various iterations. We've seen them in different manifestos, in different development plans. We've heard them in different speeches. We've seen and heard all this. The only thing we've not yet had since Nkrumah is a leader who actually wants to do it. You know, and that is Alan Chemantin's real job here. How he's going to convince us that he's the guy who will do this. And not just say it like all before him have done.
Kwame.
I've also not had the opportunity of reading the document, I must confess, because I wasn't invited. And after the launch, all my friends have failed to give me a copy of the document.
You can have my copy when I'm done.
Oh, you have a copy?
I'm going to have a copy.
You are one of the very few people.
Well,
you are. I don't do soft copies. She knows that I don't like soft copies. I like the hard copy so I can underline it and shade it. And
Tear it
apart.
You can align it soft.
Now,
we are not all as technologically advanced as you are.
I think Kojo has actually taken the wind out of my beautiful sail, because it is precisely my thoughts. And I think I had the occasion of sitting on the morning show as a panelist. I looked at the document and then I asked the exact same questions, which have been couched into a narrative by Kojo. Because look, when you read it, have you seen Akufo-Addo's 2016 manifesto? Did you read it? Oh, beautiful.
Some magical reading.
Beautiful. Agriculture, industries, the economy, health, almost all the sectors. If you look at that document, it was quite detailed. And it explained to us exactly what they were going to do in the various sectors. This document is not different from the 2016 manifesto of Nana Dankwa Akufo-Addo in terms of how it's been put together and in terms of the ideation. What is missing is the how.
And the lawyer says the how is indicated in this one. He says the how is indicated.
No, I've not read it.
Yeah.
But I've not read it. But like I told you, I had the opportunity of sitting. I've not read a full document. So I just read bits and pieces of it.
Like Kojo, you've glanced through it.
Bits and pieces of it.
Right.
If you look at the pillars, so pick the economy for instance. I mean, they talk about the economy. He highlights what our problems are in respect of the economy, right? But doesn't tell me how he intends to address them. No, hold on. No.
Can you accept that you haven't told the document to pieces so that we can move forward? Grab our soft copies. Kwame, let's move forward.
Hold on. No, it's not that just about
Kwame,
Amma.
I want us to move
madam.
forward, please.
Oh.
Can we accept that all of us here have not...
Accept that.
Kwame,
That one I cannot accept.
Let me finish
because
what I'm saying.
If you say stable currency, could you listen to me, please? Stable currency, I achieve currency stabilization within a period of 1 year. How are you going to do that? Where's it?
Kwame, can we come back and do this?
It's 1.4. Then hold on, 1.4. Achieve currency stabilization within a period of 1 year.
So that's target.
Full stop. Yeah. That's your target. Review the operations of foreign exchange bureaus and commercial banks with a view to eliminating speculative and unauthorized trading of forex.
There's one bit there about
existing regulations on the repatriation of foreign exchange proceeds from exports.
Nothing new.
Exactly. But
it sounds to me like a how. It sounds to me like a how.
So how are you going to review it? How are you going to do it?
Kwame,
What institution is going to review it? Tell me. No, listen, Amma. I'm not. You see,
I want us to do this. I really want us to get into this. So I want us to go back.
Look, Amma, let me be
read it. Come back.
Amma, let me be very honest with you.
And do the analysis proper.
Amma, I will be very candid with you.
Right, Kwame.
We are tired of the rhetorics. I'm not saying Alan Chemantin is the same as Nana Dankwa Akufo-Addo. I've not said that. And I'm not saying Movement for Change is an offspring of the MPP. I've not said that. I am only questioning a document that you are presenting to the Ghanaian people, which document will be the basis, okay, of the Ghanaian people deciding whether or not you would lead them. And I'm saying that I have had the occasion of glancing through Rwanda's National Development Policy. It doesn't just state what the problem is, or it doesn't just tell you that we will do this, we will create the rule. They will actually tell you how they are going to do it. So for instance, if you pick the Ghana Youth Policy, and you remember that I was actually drafting a policy for Ghana, and then the youth, YE people didn't take it, but I drafted a youth policy for Ghana. Because when I returned from Rwanda, I had read their youth policy, I picked it, and it tells you in agriculture exactly what they are going to do and how they are going to do it. It wasn't a big document. So I'm not asking for detailed explanation. So you say that, okay, in the area of maybe the first point, because what was the first point of the economy again? In the area of
macroeconomy,
currency stabilization, or
achieve currency stabilization within a period
of 1 year. So in the area of achieving currency stabilization within a period of 1 year, I intend to do A, B. You don't have to explain it. Do you get my point? You do not have to expand
Break
on
it down
So exactly. So that's what I'm saying. Because I'm saying that this 2024 elections will be a different kind of elections. Okay, elections that will be competed on the basis of the how, because Ghanaians are tired with Nana Danko Akufo-Addo coming to tell you that just try me, okay, and free SHS, and we fail to question the how, and which is why free SHS has become a big albatross around our necks, and there's nothing we can do about it, because we failed to ask the relevant questions. We were only swayed and hoodwinked by the terminology, without necessarily going into the how they are going to achieve it, where they are going to get the money from. I am drafting a policy. I'm drafting a policy, the Ghana Aging support project, and at the first look at the policy. So I also was confronted with the same issue, because then I drafted the policy, but I did not include in the policy the how. So a friend of mine asked the question, so Kwame, where are we going to get the money to fund this? So that is the how. So you explain how you are going to fund it, and then you explain that in funding it, you are going to spend maybe 70% of your overall budget, or 40% of your overall budget, or 10% of your overall budget. You get the point. I mean, I'm not saying that it is in all the various sectors, but I'm saying that if you're looking at the key sectors, at least give us an explanation as to how you're going to do it. Because I do see that if you look at taxation, for instance, I read a bit of it, that is, they're going to have sin taxes. I've seen sin taxes, right? And I was confused as to what sex, but I was looking at why are they going to tax sex or those things. I was confused. And then it was explained to me that it is the cigarettes and all those other
what
things.
You said is very instructive. So when you think of you think sin?
Oh no.
Okay.
But it's sin. I mean the sin. So I'm being very serious here, because I think that I am ready for us to break the jinx of the duopoly. I am ready for it.
Right.
And I'm happy. I will be more than happy if Alan Chemantin is the one who is going to do that. Because we've tried these political parties for over 30-something years, and we've never been able to experience the real development that we are promised. And so I'll be more than happy if it is Alan Kojo Chemantin who is going to bring that development that we need. However, it is not enough that he will reduce his thoughts into a document which thought doesn't clearly spell out the execution policy.
We want more, that's what you're saying.
Not just the execution policy, also how to sustain it. The sustainability aspect of it is extremely important.
Crucial.
So yes, good document, great outlay. I love it. I love the concepts. I love the ideas, but I think that they have a lot more work to do in explaining to the Ghanaian people how they intend to execute them. I'm done.
Okay. I appreciate all the comments so far. All of them are in order. Can we hold on, Kujo, because of time. Okay, go ahead.
Reduce panic buying of forex arising from loss of confidence in the economy by restoring confidence through a change of political leadership.
Yeah.
So his policy, his solution to forex losses is just vote for
me. So this is what I don't want us to do.
Please let me just
briefly.
So Kojo conveniently left out. No. You see, there are 10 points there.
Say conveniently.
Conveniently left out. Alan saying that he's going to enforce existing rules because there are already laws here. That says that governs repatriation of foreign exchange. That is key. He conveniently left out an introduction of stringent regulations to reduce capital flight, particularly in respect of transfer of foreign exchange by companies. That's key.
Right.
Did he or did he not say that he's going to restore?
I'm coming, and you see, yes, because
confidence in the city by changing government.
Yes, because we all know that sometimes in the UK, like when President May was, sometimes just by, and that's why we're calling for the finance minister to be sacked. Because we also know that sometimes when people lose confidence in the people leading, because this last, the recent speech of CD depreciation, it was clearly a case of lack of credibility in political leadership. You understand? So that's also, so it's not like it's a wrong, just changing political leadership restores a bit of confidence. So if that was the only reason, probably Kojo can go on with the kind of argument he wants to make. But it's one of 10 grounds. And I find very interesting that Kojo, you leave out an introduction of regulation which will stop capital flight, because that is one of the key reasons.
There's no law.
Okay, hold on. Hold on, gentlemen. Hold on.
Yeah. So that's the house.
Hold on.
You deal with. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Hold on. For me, the conversation then is, and you say it. Could you say it? No, even you say it. Around this thing of, we've seen a lot of manifestos, we've seen a lot of policy documents, and as Ghanaians, as voters, one, it leaves us wanting more, but two, it also really doesn't say much for us. So then, I'm sitting here scratching my, head, wondering, what then should I sort of use as any indicator of anything in going into the polls on December 7th? If it is not policy documents, which are not, using Kojo's words, revolutionary, which are all the same, or in using Kwame's words, which are not in-depth enough, not give us, the real answers that we need. If this is what we have, and we are saying that we won't know until the person wins the kind of leadership we will have, and we all accept that. Bottom line, it's also leadership, for us as a country. Then what do I use as a Ghanaian voter if I can't use the transformational plan, and I can't use Party A's manifesto or Party B's manifesto, and I can't use what the politician is saying because a lot of them turn out to be vain promises? What should I use?
So, I disagree with Kojo when he said about we can't know until you become president. No, I disagree, and there are so many examples. You understand? Because we the people, we always know, as like Nanado. But I'm not surprised. I think as I've said, I'm not surprised by the kind of leadership he's given. I know exactly the kind of Ghana who have His Excellency Dr. Bawumia is president of Ghana. Because it's not as if we don't know these characters. They have a record in their private lives in terms of commitment, in terms of their ideologies, and all. We know. Who doesn't know that what Alan Chamantin did with Empretech? Who doesn't know what he did? The fact that in '94, when New York Times was considered 100 people who will lead the world into the new millennium, that his name was there, and we know the credibility of New York Times. Who doesn't know the kind of commitment and ingenuity that led him to be the architect of AC, African Continental Free Trade, what's called, area, and all the transformational policies he led under President Kufuor, and even under Nanado. Because I always say the 1D, 1F, because we all know that the president is the one who controls the fiscal, how he spends money. And strange the fact that they decided to spend 2-point-something billion on NAPCO and just 400 million on 1D, 1F. Because at the end of the day, for you, minister, all you have is the power of policy, your pen. This car, what's called assembly. So we know, or we ought to know, it is our duty to scratch beyond the surfaces of people who are putting themselves up. And we can only do that if we interrogate their past. So for me, I disagree with that saying that, what's it called? They're all the same. It is our duty as Ghanaians, and that's why I keep on saying that the way we vote, it's as if we are doing them a favor. It's as if we are doing, but if we understand that we are not doing them a favor, and they're going to give us real leadership, then we need to look beyond and go into what they've done in their lives, in their past. And I think when you do that exercise, and you do it very well, dispassionately, you do not take into consideration your personal interests and all in the matters, I think the answer is pretty clear in my view.
Absolutely, and this is what I would suggest, and sort of to introduce the next issue as well. We only have just about 2 minutes or 3 minutes to get out of here. We are told that His Excellency Vice President Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia it's looking more like it's NAPU, so to speak. I want the announcement to be official. Once that happens, then we would know who all our front runners are and who their vice, hopefuls are. Then I want us to come back here and do an analysis, of these individuals who intend to lead us. Gentlemen, are you so inclined that once we know exactly who our people are, that we come back here and do that?
We can come back
so that we have homework of going back and finding as much information as we can about everybody and come back and do that. However, today I want us to look at this issue of NAPU. We've spoken extensively about him. It seems like he's our one for the NPP.
I am not going to discuss NAPU.
Okay.
I've said that. I mean, we don't have to spend glorious minutes discussing a character like NAPU. Okay, I'll discuss Bawumia. And I'll discuss Bawumia because I think as a leader, one of the qualities that you must possess is to be your own man and to take your own decisions and to stand by them. Because if you create the impression that you are introducing the bold solutions. Bold solutions. Which bold solutions ostensibly is a departure from the Nana Dankwa Akufo-Addo administration, then you are invariably telling us that the leaders that you are going to choose, or more so the running mate that you are going to select to partner you into the 2024 elections will be one that is from your own mind. So if we are told that, and it is quite axiomatic, so we don't even need to be told, because it's as though NAPU is being forced down his throat. I mean, for the first time in the history, at least when I became politically aware, in our political exercise, that an investigative body has conducted a survey not on how armed robbers are stealing, are robbing people. A survey not on how
food prices.
Let's just do food prices. No, I'm just saying. A survey not on how we are experiencing traffic accidents on our roads. A survey not on food prices, like you're saying,
and
the potency of that destabilizing the country if we are not able to address same. A survey not on the increasing number of young people who are selling dog chains, and who are selling pen drives and things like that on the streets of Accra. But then you do a survey, or you conduct a survey, which survey specifically deals with who is going to partner Dr. Bawumia. It's so shameful and unbelievable.
Do you think that he would help the tickets? Do you think he would help the Bawumia ticket?
I think there's no gainsaying the fact that if it turns out to be NAPU, Bawumia should even forget about contesting 2024. Because NAPU, let me explain why. I like to always do the how. Because NAPU will not win Ashanti region. If the selection of NAPU is because he is coming from the Ashanti region, or because he's a Kumasi boy, then let me say it here and now that NAPU cannot deliver Ashanti region.
Okay. Please come in, lawyer.
Excited
much about where this is going?
You see, so NAPU is supposed to clean up on some night. NAPU is supposed to clean up on some night. Well, for me, I think Dr. Bawumia is a very bad candidate. I think he's a very bad candidate, and who finds himself in a very bad situation has serious credibility issues. Because at the end of the day, the biggest problem we have plagued with, as in the sinking of our economy, is something the president told us that he is bringing Dr. Bawumia to deal with. Yeah, you understand? We all recall the concept of the Hattarization of the city. The Hattarization of the city. See, now Hatta Hatta, Hatta Hatta, made the Bawumia ba. Now I'm massively we all recall that. And we know and at that time the city was like 3.8. And we know where the city is right now. And the fact that in paragraph 67 of Bawumia's bold solution, and that bold solution lacked a lot of clarity, was a very chaotic document. Because he's talking about aggregate, then you find national service in there, no clarity. In paragraph 67, Bawumia said the president tasked him to transform the economy. He himself said, and we all know where the economy is now. So for me, I know what we think about NAPO. But I think rather NAPO joining Dr. Bawumia dents NAPO's brand than the other way around. And so in the attempt to use NAPO, whose brand is already almost in tatters, to clean up Abonsam Samana, the Abonsam Samana will turn NAPO's hands into a Caucasian hand, to a white brownie hand. You understand? So for me, I don't know, but it's gone beyond salvation. It's gone beyond salvation, and the people of Ashanti region, their eyes are wide open. You understand? They can bring whoever they want. The point is that this government has failed, and it will tell in how the voting goes.
He who the gods want to kill, they first make mad. When you realize that you catch yourself making decisions that are invariably going to cause your doom, then you know that the gods are no longer on your side. I think Bawumia has been committed to choosing NAPO as his running mate from the very, very beginning. And Kwame talks about whether this reflects on whether Bawumia is his own man or not. I will say that unfortunately, and I'm starting the sentence with unfortunately, it does reflect that Bawumia is his own man. He's making his own decision here. He's making his own bad decision. Unfortunately. Because yesterday's reporting, and that's the only bit of news I've caught in the past week, was that when the vice president presented his choice to the president gave his advice and his suggestions. And it was after those advice and suggestions that the president eventually accepted NAPO. So, the person who we think is the puppet master behind Bawumia, even he wasn't able to change Bawumia's mind on this complete car crash of a choice. Even the puppet master, the so-called puppet master, couldn't change Bawumia's mind. Because Bawumia's mind has been made up a long time ago. And you see, if you know the vice president, you will understand his weakness. His weakness is for figures. And his understanding of figures. Yes. That's his weakness. And I'm not saying that he has, I'm not questioning his competence when it comes to economics. He is an economist, a competent one. I'm not questioning his ability to read a spreadsheet. His real weakness is when he tries to make numbers and politics align. That's his real weakness. And every single trap that he has fallen into in his career is because of this. Every single thing he has said that has taken numbers and turned them into political rhetoric is now the albatross around his neck. And unfortunately, the process by which he has chosen NAPU, or chose NAPU, because I'm telling you, this choice was years in the making. In fact, Miracles said it months ago, that the president knew even, the vice president knew even before he became presidential candidate who he would choose as running mate.
Wow.
Yeah. Because he's guided by his desire to make the numbers and the politics fit. So what are the numbers? The vice president has made two assumptions. One is completely correct, one is completely wrong. His first assumption is that the NPP has an uphill task of winning this coming election. The disaffection across the nation is widespread. So they have a very difficult job of winning the election. However, if the NPP wins more than 75% of the Asante region alone, they can stop counting the rest of the votes because they will win the election by all reasonable estimations. This assumption is correct. That's Dr. Baumia's theory on which he's operating, and it is correct. Then he makes a second assumption, that the best way to win 75% or more of the Asante region is by having NAPU as running mate. This assumption is entirely wrong. And I am not sure how he arrived at it, but it's wrong. It is wrong. NAPU, hey, the minute this man is announced as vice president, shall candidate, we have to understand that the MPP is one comment away from losing the election. On any given day, they are just one disrespectful comment away from losing the election. One ethnocentric comment away from losing the election. One misguided, downright ignorant comment away from losing the election. Because they've chosen NAPU. I don't agree with lawyer who says that NAPU rather is dirtying his hands by associating himself with Baumia. No. NAPU is the kind of personality who would dirty even Mother Teresa's hands. Because every time he's talking, you're scared. Every time he opens his mouth, you're worried about who he's going to offend. Because he has absolutely no sense of awareness of who he is in the grand scheme of things. He thinks he's the hero of all of our stories. And that we just wake up in the morning with the yearning desire to hear what nugget of wisdom will fall out of his mouth today. That's who he thinks he is in our lives. Only a person with such a God complex, such a misguided God complex, can tell children whose life outcome falls under your ministry, you can tell them that if you don't have toilet facilities, take a polythene bag, defecate in it, and throw it into the bush.
Vice President.
He wants to be vice president.
Okay, it's making him vice president.
But you have to ask yourself, where did he get the comfort from? I want you to put yourself in the shoes of someone who is saying this to students. And imagine, okay,
as a sector minister.
Yes, sector minister saying this to students. After you've taken your salary for the month to solve their problems, then you go to them and tell them, while you are saying that, I want you to close your eyes and picture, where do you gather the audacity to say it? Whatever the source of that self-inflation, it must be endless and uncontrollable. He cannot be a person in control of his utterances. He can't. To go and tell the people of Keta that if government budgets to stop your town from flooding, you will go and demonstrate in Kumasi against it. Now you want to be their vice president. I'm sorry, but in order for you to even have that desire, you must be convinced that the people of Keta are of no consequence. Yeah, otherwise at this point you would know that you can't possibly be their vice president. But he doesn't care. Their existence matters a lot to him. That's why he's able to put himself up to be their vice president. Because he actually doesn't think he will be their vice president.
It's a tricky business.
So no, I'm sorry, but this is a decision which is basically car crash TV. From now on, we are all just going to be waking up, switching on the TV to see how is Napo going to screw the MPP today. From now to the election, this is what we are going to do. And if by some gods of Donald Trump, these people end up winning, and Napo becomes our vice president, I can't roll in simple fun.
It's a serious issue. We don't have time, unfortunately, but there's a conversation that I really want to get into, and it's a conversation that I want us to get into. I want us to perhaps dedicate next week to looking at the personalities, you know. Oh, you won't be here?
You know, I lost my grandma.
Yes, you did.
Yeah, so next week is the
Yes,
1 week.
So I mean, we'll have a conversation back door. If we can't do it next week, we can do it. But it's something that I want us to do, to take all our front runners, you know, look at their personalities, look at their dispositions, look at their track records, look at the how they have performed, because all of them have performed in one way or the other. You know, be it in parliament, be it as a minister, different portfolios even, so that we have that conversation, all of us, so that it helps us in deciding, you know, who we need going forward. I think it's very important.
Yeah, I agree with you.
So thank you for coming. Always a delight. Thank you. Always a delight. Kwame, we have a book to read.
Yes, that's must be read it well.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you for watching. Always a pleasure to come your way. And we like the feedback, you know, that comes every week. Thank you so much. Thank you for watching. We will see you next Thursday. I would see you tomorrow. Have a lovely evening. Bye.